Believe it or not, you just saw Mac Jones play one of the best games of his career. Mac Jones has never had a game with 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and at least 250 passing yards in the NFL. Andy Staples sent me a message. I saw a lot of those when he was wearing a number on the side of his helmet. Alabama Mac from L.A., playing in L.A., Lower Alabama. But that was a great game. I don't know what he would grade it. My guess is if we asked for his grade, he'd say C plus, B minus. But he did everything the 49ers need. Not every. You would have liked to ice the game earlier on offense, but I thought all in all, it was an excellent game for Mac Jones. A lot of pressure. You know, your 49ers debut, filling in for an icon. I can understand being a little unsettled, maybe feeling a little rusty, unfamiliar environment, road game, loud place. Am I still talking about Mac Jones? But he was really good. I mean, you think about some of the specifics. So in addition to playing one of the best games, he was so insightful after the game. He gave us, I thought, such a good insight into him. I want to get to some of the specific throws that he made that were really impressive. And, you know, I thought in the preseason and watching him in training camp, like, oh, you know, the whose arm is better, him or Brock? Like today, especially early, didn't look it. But I thought he got more accurate as the game went on. That spiral, he started to throw a better spiral as the game went on. He was just a little out of sync early, a little rusty early. You know, it's such a complicated offense. You'd think if he was doing it week 10, maybe he'd be. But he got thrown in the fire today, and he was like the rest of the team, gritty. While he put up numbers he hasn't put up before. But his post game was really interesting. And I got a lot of insight, things I didn't know about Mac Jones just watching him talk after the game. Because he said a couple of things. He said he's been working on his breathing, you know, the mental approach this offseason, something that Purdy's talked about, how much breathing has helped him. And then he said, you know, Mick Lombardi, who's the quarterback's coach, knows me really well. He was on the bench with him. He said he knows me really well, and he just kept telling me things to keep me in the right mindset. And reading between the lines, what that tells me is that Mac Jones is a guy that's I think he's really hard on himself. Even though he's clearly a fun guy, like they love him. He's a loose guy. He's a funny guy. He doesn't take himself too seriously. I've loved his pregame outfit so far. If you go to the Niners website and go to like the arrival photos, you see a guy who's clearly having fun. But he's also a guy who I think is hard on himself. And, you know, you're just going to make mistakes. Somebody else is going to make plays. Uncharacteristic at times of him when you look at his history, holding the ball, but made some big throws when they needed it, like really clutch throws. The 3rd and 6 at the end of the first half was a clutch throw. The touchdown pass to Christian McCaffrey on 3rd and 6. I'm talking about 3rd and 6, like the clock is running down and the Saints are going to call a timeout if you don't get this first down. But then later in that drive, the 3rd and 6 to Christian McCaffrey was a great throw. It was a really, really good throw. And he's not Brock athletically. And he's not Brock in terms of command of this offense. Clearly, how could you be? He hasn't been in it as long. But he showed an ability to throw with anticipation and trust. Because, you know, whether his arm is better than Brock's or Brock's is better than his, he doesn't have the Herbert can just cut it loose at the last second. That throw to McCaffrey took anticipation and touch. He threw a sideline ball on a 3rd down and 10 to Pearsall that took a lot of anticipation and touch. It was a big throw, a clutch throw. And even though you would have liked to have seen them end the game on offense without needing, you know, like under 5 minutes, 2 punts, earlier in that half, he had some clutch drives. So you saw a guy that just settled in to a pressure situation. And I thought he was feeling it. And it looked like it, or that first possession, and the first play of the game wasn't his fault. That thing got blown up, and then he misses Tonjes, and then he doesn't connect with Jennings, and they punt. You're like, what is this day going to look like? And the answer is gritty. And 279, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Like, is that gritty? On paper, no, but in practice, yeah, you saw it. And the Niners had so many opportunities to put the thing away. They score at the end of the half. They're going to get the ball first in the second half. Put these dudes away, score again. Couldn't do it. New Orleans scores. It's a 2-point game. But then he comes out, hits Pearsall on a sliding catch. McCaffrey has a big run. Then he hits Bourne for 11 yards. By the way, Bourne brought some juice. They don't get the 4th and 2 near the red zone, but Pinheiro hits the field goal. Okay, well, then Fred Warner forces the fumble, and the Niners come back, and the throw he made – I didn't mention this long throw. right? So they score. They're up 19-14 after that field goal early third quarter. Fred Warner forces the fumble, so Niners get it back. Well, then Shanahan does a good job of kind of taking the heat off of Mac Jones. They're running the ball, McCaffrey, Brian Robinson. But then it's a 3rd and 10. Great play. Boom, McCaffrey at the sticks. Long throw on the money, and then the Jennings touchdown. So he really settled in. You saw a guy who, if you watch what he said afterwards, you kind of think about what he's really saying, and then you go back and watch the game again or just think about the game again. That game makes so much sense. Like, you're just going to have to overcome mistakes. It's what everybody's going to have to do. I think quarterbacks who have been through, like the Alex Smith stuff early was so stressful for him, and he overcame it. And it's an incredible story. Like, most guys, there's just so many scars for young quarterbacks. Darnold, whatever this year's going to bring, whatever it all becomes, the way last year ended for him in Minnesota, but to even have that year, given all the scar, Baker, Mayfield, all the scars. If you got Mac Jones, like, so many scars, you would imagine. And whatever he came in with mentally, all that got upended and rattled, and now he's trying to find his place again at a time when his team needs him to win. And he did it. So I don't know what he would grade it. I would give it an A. Like, your backup quarterback has to come in and play week 2 on the road. New Orleans isn't good. New Orleans isn't making the playoffs. But, like, the margins between not a playoff team and a playoff team, even though they're big, on a given day in the NFL, they're small. And so he kept getting challenged, and he, for the most part, stepped up to the challenge. So I think you just saw a guy who is what we thought he was. My guess is Kyle Shanahan's not very surprised. I'm not very surprised. I thought they could win the game with him. I could and do and will are two different things, but to see him kind of look like that guy, is he a top 15 quarterback? No. But you're every year you're going to have a few backups that are better than the bottom third of the league in QBs. And I think he can be that, especially here. A complicated offense requires a lot. You lose Juszczyk early. You lose your left guard. Juszczyk's a guy who helps people get organized. You got Bourne out there running around, which was clearly an upgrade. When you look at the schedule, and I've said this for years, and I'll repeat it, your backup quarterback is not a guy that you don't look at him as a guy. Can we win 11 games with this guy? Because if the answer to that was yes, he'd be your starting quarterback or somebody's starting quarterback. But if you look at the schedule, how many times could that game that he put out there today, or maybe even a little less, 2 touchdowns instead of 3 passing, how many games you can't win? How many times is that game better than the opponent's quarterback? So go through the schedule. Like this week, if I gave you that line, 3 touchdowns, 279, no picks, I go, yeah, that's going to be better than Spencer Rattler. Is that going to be better? Let's just think about it quickly. Like, better than what Kyler could do next week? No. Better than what Trevor Lawrence could do the following week? Maybe. Better than what Stafford could do the next week? No. Better than what Baker could do the next week? No. Better than what Penix could do next week? Maybe. Stroud? Probably not. Giants, whoever their quarterback is, yeah, could be better than that. I know what Russell Wilson did today, but we've all seen that story 100 times. That frenetic all over the place. Like, you're beating them. You're beating the Giants with that game. Better than Carolina? Definitely could be with that performance. Like, you could be the better quarterback that day if you play the way you played today. Better than the Browns? Yes, but their defense, tough time of year, late November. But yeah, that could be better than their quarterback's performance that day, given how well your defense is playing. Is that going to be better than Cam Ward on December 14th? It might be. I'm not saying he's playing the rest of the year, but like, does that performance today beat the Colts? Hell yeah, it does. Does it beat the Bears? Yes, it does. So, like, you're looking at a quarterback who you'd feel pretty good can be better than the other team's quarterback in like half your games. You don't want him to play half your games. You want Brock to play the rest of these games. But that's pretty good. Actually, that's really good. That's way better than most backups, and it's certainly better than the situation you're in last year. I mean, last year when they needed their backup quarterback, albeit on the road in Green Bay, they lost by 28. Today on the road in New Orleans, they won. Oh, but Guy, New Orleans isn't as good as Green Bay. You're damn right. Right now, like, Green Bay and Philly are going to play in the NFC Championship game. But you don't play Green Bay until the playoffs. You just got to get there. You got to go find a way to win 10 games, 11. So that was excellent. That was excellent, and we got insight into the Mac Jones psyche today. He's a guy that needs some help, not like from the receivers. He understands I'm trying to get better, but there are things that are natural to me that don't help me succeed. That's what he was. I thought if you didn't watch his post game, go watch it. It was so transparent. Like, it was really cool. It was really cool because I think who he is naturally, which is like this really fun guy, it doesn't translate to a guy who's just loose and easy all the time on the field. Like, it takes work for him to be in the right mindset, as it does for a lot of people, as it does for a lot of people everybody under pressure. It takes work to have the right mindset. And he's not like, he's a guy saying, I'm still working on it. And yet they won. And it's a microcosm of this team. Like, they're still working on it. Everything. When I say it, we're talking about special teams. We're talking about quarterbacking. We're talking about offensive line. We're talking about defense. But you can see the threads of how it all gets better. And they're 2-0. So, here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to go game log and say, but we could look. The other quarterbacks taken in the Mac Jones draft, how many of them have had 3 touchdown, no interception, 279-yard performances? How many of those performances have there been? I haven't looked it up yet. I just thought of it, but my guess is not a lot. Hater in the building. That was fun, man. Good for Mac.